The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I first met Joe Biden when I was doing my show Veep. I played the vice president, and he was, in fact, the vice president, and we hit it off immediately. Soon after, I was asked to be on the cover of a magazine. Remember those? And I was so excited. It was like, oh, what's it going to be? People or Vogue or Rolling Stone? Well, it turns out it was for Arrive, the official onboard magazine of Amtrak, which nobody ever reads, even though it's free. And the day it came out, my phone rang, and it was the vice president telling me he loved the cover and the whole article, and that it was one of the best issues of Arrive he had ever read. And that is just one of the many reasons that I wanted to be here tonight for Joe. And to remind you that Joe Biden not only knows how to read, but also he reads everything.
She's a little national treasure, and she. I love that. I love the fact that we're not afraid to, be funny. I just love that. Julia Louis-Dreyfus hosted Night 4, where she said things were going so well. She was told by the Democratic National Committee that they were going to do a fifth night with Michelle Obama on an endless loop, which I'm all for. I thought that was like the best idea. No, our convention was beautiful. Everybody with a brain in their head or, a soul in their innards had a moment or two that they just said, oh my God, I miss this. And this is America. I miss it. I miss it so much. And yes, Joe Biden gave the speech of his life last night, which is saying a lot when you consider how freaking long his life has been. And he wasn't intimidated by speaking to an empty room. In fact, some people said it made him look even more presidential, but he has experience doing that because back when he first ran for Congress in 1918, we had a pandemic then too. It's okay. It's okay to make old jokes. Both our candidates, believe it or not, are freaking old white guys. Well, one's orange, but they're both old guys. It's just that when you look at Donald Trump, stutter through and stammer through and, praise white supremacists, and you look at Joe Biden, tell us our best days are still ahead of us, and he's passing the torch to the younger generation, and that we can't do that if Donald Trump is reelected, and that is his message, then perhaps there's a word for that kind of senior. I think the word is wise. So you can make jokes about his age. You can actually do that because if you listen to Donald Trump at half, he's going to fail. I mean, I next week is their convention. It's there, and it's going to be a hate fest. They've already projected that it's going to be a grievance fest, misery fest, a racist fest. They've already told us what they're going to do. They've already explained to us what they're doing to the Postal Service. They've already said out loud the quiet parts about the rigged election and the Senate Intelligence Committee's report on Russian interference. And the scariest part of it is not that it happened, not that Donald Trump welcomed it, not that they worked together. Oh, yes, they did. And that the only problem is, what do you call it? But the scary part is that it's still happening. It's still going on. I mean, you've got this Russian guy, Navalny, who is kind of like the Russian version of Ella Baker, a civil rights activist in Russia, a man who fights against the dictator Putin, a man who says we should have free and fair elections, not rigged ones, a man who actually is fighting against oligarchy and autocracy in Russia. In a intensive care unit in a Siberian freaking hospital because Putin, Donald Trump's crush, poisoned him. And where are we? Where are we? You know, taking the side of good against evil, okay? And so, I choose good over evil. I just do. And that was the message last night. That was clearly the message last night. That the facts of where we are dark and dark, and it's a dank place to live. No one is, your passport is worthless, and I know most people in this country don't even have one, which is a shame. But you can't go anywhere. You can't leave. You're trapped in this country because nobody will have us. You know what's interesting is this week Donald Trump said that he literally, this guy that's out there, Miles Taylor, who was the chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security, is telling everybody all the inside mung that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And he said Donald Trump really did want to. Remember the whole thing about where we heard that Donald Trump was interested in Greenland, acquiring it? He wanted to get Greenland as part of the United States. Remember that? Everybody heard that. Well, it turned out that what he wanted to do was trade dirty, poor Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico after Maria for Greenland. This is what he's telling me. And that whatever Lou Dobbs would say on Lou Dobbs, Lion, Fox Business, bottom of the rung network slot, Donald Trump would tell the Department of Homeland Security that's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted. I mean, this is just so off the hook. So, yes, nothing can happen. Nothing good can happen. Nothing light can happen. Nothing hopeful can happen with this man getting another 4 years. I mean, everybody gets that he's left us with a crumbled economy, and he has ignored a pandemic and doesn't give a damn about anybody but himself. So Biden had a very tough job to do last night. He had to paint this dark, bleak, disgusting picture of where we are and be hopeful about where we could be and where we should be and where we can be. And he also had to not say Donald Trump's name, which he managed to do. And he had to explain this lack of courage, if you will, if you must, if you may, that this president exhibits in the face of adversaries, this kowtowing to dictators, and not leave out the policy that would take us not back, but forward. So he had to do a lot of things. He had to, first of all, he played that 13-year-old boy, Braden Harrington, who was the most courageous kid. When you're think about when you were 13, okay? Just speaking in front of your classroom. My God, I still remember when we were studying South America and I cheated my way. I got Ecuador. And all I really knew was, they traded copper or whatever. Everybody traded copper. So, and I had the flag of. I was terrified to stand up in front of the class. I mean, here's this kid with a stutter. Here's a kid with a challenge. Okay, on national television, showing more courage than Donald Trump has ever shown standing up to dictators, or will ever show in his entire life when given the opportunity to serve his country, right? And I can't even imagine what their convention's going to be like. Where is Donald Trump going to find a child who was inspired by Donald Trump? Where are they going to dig up a kid like that? Somebody who's been personally helped by Donald Trump. I guess they're going to have to find some kid who has baldness and was taught by Donald Trump how to do the comb over or hide his piggy bank from his siblings.
It's Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
And now I'd like to turn it over to a great Democrat who will be with us throughout the evening. Between the two of us, we have 11 Emmys. How's that for math? One of my favorite actresses, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Hey, Julia.
Hi, Andrew. I'm so glad to see you. So what did you think about Kamala Harris's speech last night?
It was tremendous. I was so happy for her.
I know, me too. She was fabulous. I cannot wait to see her debate our current Vice President, Mika Pints. Or is it Paints?
It's pronounced Ponce, I believe.
Oh, some kind of weird foreign name?
Yeah, not very American sounding.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Strongly.
Give our regards to the Yangs. I love that because, you know, they can't say Kamala on the Fox News channel. They don't know how to say it. They didn't want to know how to say it. They're not interested in saying it properly. So, you know, Mika Ponce is our vice president now. Very foreign sounding. You know, right, Andrew Yang? He was lovely last night. And I tell you, you know, they had this this warm moment where all of our embarrassment of riches, which is what we had in this primary, all of the candidates, all of the primary contenders, they all, you know, got on a Zoom call. It was fantastic. You know, Bernie is freaking funny. I had no idea he was that funny. No clue whatsoever. It was hosted by Cory Booker, and every one of the candidates were together. They were unified behind Joe Biden. They totally told stories from the campaign trail. They were really they were great. They were just amazing. So now Donald Trump is going to try and go out and portray this hopeful, you know, listen, this is another hard part that Biden had to deal with last night. He had to talk about not just this dark, dank place that Donald Trump has put us in, not just the fact that the power that Donald Trump wields over his base is the power of hatred and darkness and racism and blame and pointing fingers and never taking responsibility for anything, even after you've been president for almost 4 years, right? But he also had to lay out policy. He had to talk about policy. The tax policy, the business policy, the pay policy, the minimum wage policy, the COVID policy, all these things. And he was able to do that. And that is really hard to do and keep people's attention and keep, you know, and he did it. And like the reason why I bring up this kid, Braden Harrington, is because there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I mean, this kid was so full of courage and, you know, so brave and so, I don't know, just warm and a fuzzy kid. He's just a really strong 13-year-old boy who had been helped by Joe Biden, who took a moment to help him by showing him that he used to take Yeats poetry and he would read it out loud with some words highlighted so that he could pronounce them more easily, knowing they were coming up, right? And of course, just doing that was brave on the part of Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Why? Because after that child, that brave boy, stood up and warmed your heart with his struggle, you know every single person that was watching this last night was hanging on every single word Joe Biden said, just watching him like a hawk through the whole speech to see if he stuttered, to see if he got stuck on a consonant. See, this is Donald Trump's disgusting MO. You remember when Donald Trump mocked a disabled reporter, right? I mean, it's seared in our brains because it was so cruel. It was so ugly. It was so hard to understand how a grown man could do that. But now he's doing it to Joe. Now he's making fun of the way Joe Biden speaks. And you know what? If you listen to Donald Trump speak, he can't say a lot of words too. But Joe Biden actually admits that he does have an elocution issue that he has fought his whole life to overcome, and then found himself in politics, where giving a speech is part of the job. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he's old too. He doesn't come off as senile. He just comes off as somebody who's learned nothing about decency or policy or compassion or empathy or child rearing throughout his entire life. So, you know, that there's a term for that too. And the term for that is really, really stupid. So we have two old men. One I would characterize as wise and courageous, and the other one I would characterize as a coward and a paranoid idiot. There are your choices. And they had to have an entire convention where they couldn't say it that plainly. Although it did get said. It truly did.
This is a life-changing election. This will determine what America is going to look like for a long, long time. Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy, they're all on the ballot. Who we are as a nation, what we stand for, and most importantly, who we want to be, that's all on the ballot. And the choice could not be more clear. No rhetoric is needed. Just judge this president on the facts. 5 million Americans infected by COVID-19. More than 170,000 Americans have died. By far the worst performance of any nation on earth. More than 50 million people have filed for unemployment this year. More than 10 million people are going to lose their health insurance this year. Nearly 1 in 6 small businesses have closed this year. Wow. And this president, if he's reelected, you know what will happen. Cases and deaths will remain far too high. More mom and pop businesses will close their doors, and this time for good. Working families will struggle to get by. And yet the wealthiest 1% will get tens of billions of dollars in new tax breaks.
Oy, oy, oy.
And the assault on the Affordable Care Act will continue until it's destroyed.
So, you know, he's right about that. The Supreme Court is going to hear the destruction case against the Affordable Care Act 1 week after the election. I don't know why they think they're going to have some free time 1 week after the election, because this man is in every, I mean, Donald Trump is going to wage a legal battle against us counting our votes like no one's ever seen before. It's going to make Bush v. Gore look stupid. It's going to make Bush v. Gore look like child's play. It's going to make those 36 days that I freaking lived through look like, you know, a walk in the woods. But yeah, they're going to hear on November 10th, the Supreme Court has said, yeah, we'll be free by then. And we're going to hear the case to destroy, to sink, to terminate, to end the entire Affordable Care Act, which means pre-existing conditions out the window. And he has no plan, Trump.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844.
Joe Biden goes to church so regularly that he doesn't even need tear gas and a bunch of federalized troops to help him get there.
Oh! Line of the night. Line of the night. It was so good. It was so good. We knocked it out of the park. This was, I mean, listen, you know where I knew we, do you remember, I don't know if you remember this. Does anybody remember the Trump inaugural? Anybody? Anybody remember the talent that he, hired for his inaugural? It was the Michael Flatley Riverdance dancers without Michael Flatley. It was some, not all, a few Rockettes. It was a band called Big and Rich. I swear to God. And last night, and listen, Obama, he's had Beyonce, Aretha Franklin. You remember? I even remember the hat she wore. I remember everything about that day. You had Aretha Franklin for Obama. You had John Legend, believe it or not. Last night, him and Common. If you've never heard the song, ooh, it gives me chills. If you never heard, I wish I could play these music pieces from this convention. It was unbelievable. You know, if you get really, 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 really like wine drunk, like Laura Ingraham, wine drunk like that, Billie Eilish would be your pick. You know, she's sort of an Amy Winehouse for kids. I don't know how else to explain her. If you saw her, you would know. She has like half of her hair is green and her nails are like really, really, really claw-like long. But she sang a song that I knew, you know, called I'm in Love with My Future. She's got a beautiful voice, let's just put it that way. But last night, John Legend and Common, they have a song. It's not a new song, but the song is called Glory. And if you can listen to that song and not get goosebumps, if you can listen to that song and not feel like you're ready to vote for progress in this country, like you're ready to vote to overcome the systemic racism in this country, if you could listen to that song and not have any emotional reaction to it, you're dead inside. You are dead inside. So I was just looking at just our entertainers last night, just throughout the whole entire, you know, event. And then I just flashed back on, like, you know, Donald Trump's talent, like the people who will show up for him. You know, honestly, it's like nobody. We had Kelly Clarkson, James Taylor. You have, you know, the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. I mean, just amazing stuff. And Trump can't get anybody. Maybe Toby Keith will show up, you know. And he's been pounding that Lee Greenwood song, you know, that I've been playing since I was a country DJ all those years ago in West Texas. You know, like he owns it. Like he owns it. And almost everybody has sued him to stop him from playing their damn music. His closing song, this freaking man, his closing song from the stupid rallies that he can't have because he dropped the ball on a freaking global pandemic, is you can't always get what you want. And the Rolling Stones keep suing him. Stop playing our music. U2 sued him. Stop playing our stuff. It's just so unbelievable. It's just an amazing thing. But this was the close of the night. I love this because this is really, if you spent any time around, I'll say, you know, the Democrats in the Senate, you know, the House members, the House members are more talkative. The House members are less scripted, although you're never on the phone alone with any of these people. You're always, if you're on the phone or if somebody that you know is interviewing a member of the House or a senator or the vice president, there are about 10 people on that phone. And they're so quiet that you don't even realize. But they're and a lot of people are very, very scripted. But if you've ever spent any time unscripted with them, meaning in person, which I've been lucky enough to do, you know that they believe in this country. They may have policies that you disagree with your first breath in the morning and your last thought at night, but they care about this country. They care about protecting it. They care about the inequality that some of their own policies have caused, because they learn there are unintended consequences from all pieces of legislation, all of them. And they learn, some of them learn, and they go back and they amend, or they advocate for something to replace. Donald Trump is talking about how much he hates the ACA, how he wants to repeal it, but he has no replacement after all these years. There is no replacement. The Republicans have no health care plan. None. Now, the ads have started here in Florida, okay? Because we're the swingiest of the swing states. That's why we look that way. Look at the map. Swinging in the breeze. We're about to have a hurricane this week. Well, probably Monday. I think we'll be all right here where we are, but we're about to have a hurricane, so we're going to be swinging in the breeze, right? Swinging in the breeze. So the ads have started, and Donald Trump's ads are the fakest freaking things I've ever... I mean, everything about him is fraudulent, but these ads are actually touting some magical healthcare plan that no one has ever seen because it doesn't exist. He's a destroyer of things. not a builder of anything. Other people build things, and he slaps his name on it. That's what Donald Trump does. But we have a plan. We have an economic plan. I have Joe Biden's health care plan right here. It's in the homework if you want to read it. Basically, it is the public option. So people who know what, we wanted and did not get in 2010, 10 years ago, when the ACA first passed, it almost happened, but it didn't happen. It has a public option. What does that mean? That means if you're unhappy with your employer's health plan, or you do what I do, and I'm on the exchange, I buy my own health care plan because I am my own employer. I'm a small business. Brett, too. We have to go out and... So the public option is an option that says you can keep your employer-based health insurance, keep the plan that you bought yourself, or you can get into Medicare. You can opt in. You can say that you want that coverage. Also, he lowers the age for Medicare to 60. Why is that a great idea? It's a great idea. Listen, I'm for universal health care. I really am. I like the idea of Medicare for all. They're saying, you can have Medicare, but you can keep your plan if you want to. Lowering the age to 60 for Medicare, though, takes people my age out of your health care plan, and we tend to see the doctor more often with things like cancer and heart problems. And so your insurance costs less because your risk pool is rid of me. So that's another premium lowering idea.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
We will never get our economy back on track. We will never get our kids safely back in schools. We'll never have our lives back until we deal with this virus. The tragedy of where we are today is it didn't have to be this bad. Just look around. It's not this bad in Canada or Europe or Japan or almost anywhere else in the world. And the president keeps telling us the virus is going to disappear. He keeps waiting for a miracle. Well, I have news for him. No miracle is coming. We lead the world in confirmed cases. We lead the world in deaths. Our economy is in tatters, with Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American communities bearing the brunt of it. And after all this time, the president still does not have a plan. Well, I do. If I'm your president, on day one, we'll implement the national strategy I've been laying out since March. We'll develop and deploy rapid tests with results available immediately. We'll make the medical supplies and protective equipment that our country needs. And we'll make them here in America, so we will never again be at the mercy of China or other foreign countries in order to protect our own people. We'll make sure our schools have the resources they need to be open, safe, and effective. We'll put politics aside. We'll take the muzzle off our experts so the public gets the information they need and deserve. Honest, unvarnished truth. They can handle it. We'll have a national mandate to wear a mask, not as a burden, but as a patriotic duty to protect one another. In short, we'll do what we should have done from the very beginning. Our current president has failed in his most basic duty to the nation. He's failed to protect us. He's failed to protect America. And my fellow Americans, that is unforgivable.
It is. It is. It's such a dereliction in duty that anybody who's ever served this country and took an oath to protect and defend and takes it seriously, and almost every, I don't know anybody that ever took that oath that didn't have, like, you know, a chill go down their spine when their hand was raised and they were swearing an oath to protect and defend these United States. I don't know anybody who ever said, according to Donald Trump, getting advice from the My Pillow guy is good enough. You know, this week, 7,000 people died of COVID. 7,000. 1,000 a day, every single day. And you know we're not getting the right numbers anymore. Remember, Donald Trump took the reporting away from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. Took it away. And the numbers are now going to some Trump flunky in the Trump administration. And they're being cooked. And the president of the United States said, so I told my people, slow the testing down, please. And that's happened too. And every school that's tried to reopen has to close because 600 staffers test positive for COVID in one school district. Colleges are forced to close. Colleges are forced to do online this semester because COVID. Outbreaks of COVID. This man has a plan. This person, this statesman, you know, this Joe Biden guy knows a thing or two about a thing or two. This Joe Biden guy is a decent flag-loving man. This is a man who knows the difference between various denominations of Christianity and Judaism and isn't going to go, 2 Corinthians, that's the whole ball game, and pose himself as somebody who gives a damn about what you give a damn about. Now, it was his best speech ever. And that's saying at 77 to do the best ever. Yes, when you're 77, if you're a boxer and you do your best, I would say, well, you know, that's, you know, a dancer. But anything at 77 when you did your best ever is impressive. And the reason why it was impressive is because he summoned all his will to do it that way. All his passion about this country. All his love for this country. And he's not kidding himself or you or anybody else that he is a senior citizen. He is telling you that outright. And he's showing you outright, I am 77. So I had to pick a younger but intellectually gifted person to be ready on day one if something happens to me. And he did. And he did. And he talked about enough of the hate. Enough of it. We're done with it. America, as you know, is a nation of immigrants. It's a nation, unless you're an indigenous person. Oh my God. The congresswoman from New Mexico, she's an indigenous person, and she's a 35th generation American. Think about that. A 35th generation American. Unless you can say that you are a 35th generation American or a 25th generation American, I'll be nice. You're an immigrant. You're an immigrant.
Close your eyes. Remember what you saw on television. Remember seeing those neo-Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists coming out of fields with lighted torches, veins bulging, spewing the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. Remember the violent clash that ensued between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And remember what the president said when asked? He said there were, quote, very fine people on both sides. It was a wake-up call for us as a country, and for me, a call to action. At that moment, I knew I'd have to run, because my father taught us that silence was complicity, and I could never remain silent or complicit. At the time, I said we were in the battle for the soul of this nation, and we are. You know, one of the most important conversations I've had this entire campaign, it was with someone who was much too young to vote. I met with 6-year-old Gianna Floyd the day before her daddy, George Floyd, was laid to rest. She's an incredibly brave little girl. And I'll never forget it. When I leaned down to speak to her, she looked in my eyes and she said, and I quote, "Daddy changed the world. Daddy changed the world." Her words burrowed deep into my heart. Maybe George Floyd's murder was a breaking point. Maybe John Lewis is passing the inspiration. But however it's come to be, however it's happened, America's ready, in John's words, to lay down, quote, the heavy burden of hate at last, and to end the hard work of rooting out our systemic racism.
It's a great hopeful thought that we could actually, root out systemic. We know that we have racists in the Border Patrol. We know we have racists in policing. We know we have racists in prison guards. We know we have racism in our policies. We know we've had people who can't get loans. And like I said, unless you're a 35th generation American or an African American who are immigrants, but not of their own free will, brought here in chains, literally, in shackles, literally, in the bowels of slave ships, and endured that for 400 years. I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. Even if Joe Biden is the kind of person who's going to move us forward incrementally. Just the forward motion itself will be freeing. Just the forward motion, just the discussions, the actual conversations about, hey, should we insure all Americans this way? Should we insure all Americans that way? Should we improve the justice system this way? Should we improve the justice system that way? Should we? Oh, it's just going to be good.
Mary had a little man.
The false. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Where are they going? Where are these ballots going? Who's getting them? Who is not getting them? A little section that's Republican. Will they be stolen from mailboxes as they get put in by the mailman? Will they be taken from the mailmen and the mailwomen? Will they be forged? Who is signing them? Who's signing them? What, are they signed at a kitchen table and sent in? Yes. Will they be counterfeited by groups inside our nation? Will they be counterfeited maybe by the millions by foreign powers?
Let me put this in my own words. I've heard Donald Trump say some pretty unhinged things. I've heard them over and over and over again. But nothing is more dangerous to our democracy than his attacks on mail-in voting during a pandemic. Okay, here's the truth. Donald Trump doesn't want any of us to vote because he knows he can't win fair and square. So whether you plan to vote by mail or in person wearing your mask, it is your vote and it's your right. Don't let Donald Trump take that away from you. For accurate, up-to-date voting information that you can trust, text VOTE to 30330. One more time, text VOTE to 30330.
Which would be Donald Trump's golf score if he didn't cheat. So that was Sarah Cooper in her own words and her own voice. We've never heard Sarah Cooper's voice before. That's not true. I've seen some of her stand-up. She's freaking funny. But anyway, so today was the big Senate hearing, remotely, the Senate hearing on Louis DeJoy's mismanagement and destruction of the U.S. Postal Service. And surprise, everybody, surprise, he's a freaking liar, willing to lie under oath on television for Donald Trump. I mean, he said that there are no current mail delays, and that if there are any current mail delays, they're being caused by difficulties having to do with the COVID pandemic. Isn't that just another way to say that it's being caused by Donald Trump? I don't know what he thought he was doing lying like this, but he said it's an outrageous claim that he is impeding mail delivery to impact the election. Well, Louis, take it up with your friend and benefactor, Donald J. Trump, because he's the one that's making the case that you can't deliver the election mail. He's the one that made the most forceful argument against having a mail-in election, because he says that unless we give you money, lots of money, which he's not willing to give you, your postal service can't handle it. That's what he said.
But if the bill isn't going to get done, that would mean the post office isn't going to get funded, and that would also mean that the $3.5 billion isn't going to be taken care of. So I don't know how you could possibly use these ballots, these mail-in ballots. Absentee ballots, by the way, are fine. But the universal mail-ins that are just sent all over the place, where people can grab them and grab stacks of them and sign them and do whatever you want, that's the thing we're against.
Wait, so if first of all, in Florida, statutorily speaking, meaning in the law, in Florida, there is zero, and that's where he votes. That's where I vote. There is zero differentiation between what he's calling absentee and mail-in. There's no differentiation. There is no difference. They are the same exact thing. Exactly the same. So, riddle me this, Batman. Why haven't people stolen your absentee ballot out of your mailbox at Mar-a-Lago? Why haven't they gone and stolen your... I mean, it makes no sense. People are going to forge absentee ballots, but they're not going to forge absentee ballots, but they will forge mail-in ballots. In Florida, where he votes, it is exactly the same thing. There is no difference at all. And then you've got 9 states where there is no difference at all. You have 5 states that vote entirely and have voted entirely by mail for years. There is nothing new about it, okay? But Louis DeJoy decided he was going to show up today, and he was going to say, I'm not putting the sorting machines back together. I don't think that they had any impact on the mail being delivered. Whatever your own eyes are telling you, whatever your own small business is going through, whatever the postal employees are relating to the press, they're lying. They're the liars. And now he sent out a memo to all the postal employees telling them they are not allowed to talk to media. What? They're not allowed to talk to media. And he said, some people are going to come in and they won't identify themselves as journalists, as if there's some obligation on my part to say to anybody I'm talking to in the post office or any place in my life, oh, by the way, my name is Randi Rhodes and I do a political talk show on Free Speech TV. Or I have a podcast, or I'm a political reporter, or I'm a journalist. There's no requirement to do that. But he's saying when people come in and they ask you questions, assume that they're journalists that decided not to tell you that they're journalists. watching too many Project Veritas videos, are you, Louis DeJoy? Louis, baby. Listen, there's an article in the Los Angeles Times today that is shocking. The postal workers, apparently they didn't get the memo. They talked to Laura Nelson and Maya Lau, who write for the LA Times, and they said that there are rotting packages. There are gnats all over the place from packages that were sent in early August that have, produce in them, rotted fruit, rotted meat. They found boxes of dead baby chicks. I don't know if you know this, but baby chicks are sent through the mail. And they are saying it looks like Armageddon in our postal service. The cuts that Louis DeJoy made has made a massive, massive mess of the postal service, the offices in Los Angeles, in Sacramento, in Santa Ana, in San Diego. These reporters went to the Florence and Central Los Angeles post office. That serves 92 LA area post offices. 7 delivery barcode sorters were removed in June. Each of those machines would have handled the ballots. They do about 35 pieces of mail per hour. And they told, the reporters, a lot of the machinery has already been gutted. Some of it's been dismantled and relocated. Some of it's been trashed. We were happy to hear about the suspension of these changes, but it's just a suspension. They are attacking and undermining our operations, and those attacks will resume in December, the worst possible time, peak season. And they said that it's tragic for live animals, baby chickens, crickets are being sent through the mail. These boxes usually have air holes, and the postal workers usually hear the cheeping of the shipment of crickets. They usually hear them jumping around inside. And they said you can see the baby chicks are dead. You could see that the crickets are dead. One guy who has a small business actually says he's experiencing delays in shipping his products anywhere from 10 to 20 days. He's never seen anything like that in the 20 years he's been a small business owner and using the postal service to fill his orders. Another guy, coffee subscription company, he got there on July 25th to mail some freshly roasted beans to his customers, and he said the parking lot was crammed with semis with unsorted mail piled high. Inside the postal office, it was wall to wall with mail. He described it like Armageddon, a total maze.
Clear at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, everybody, this is Louis.
Well, we've heard about the sorters. You addressed that earlier. Will you be bringing back any mail sorting machines that have been removed since you've become Postmaster General? Will any of those come back?
There's no intention to do that. They're not needed, sir.
What?
So you will not bring back any processors?
They're not needed, sir.
Okay.
Louis, who started on June 15th and has literally dismantled, trashed, wasted, not even using them for parts, mail sorting machines. They're not necessary. They're not necessary. I told you, the postal workers have been talking to the press. They have been allowing the press in, showing them the rotted fruit, showing them the dead animals, showing them the chaos at the Postal Service, showing them the graveyard by the dumpster that these sorting machines have been relegated to. Sorting machines that handle the ballots. Sorting machines that handle barcoded mail. Sorting machines that handle flats. Sorting machines that do 35,000 pieces in an hour. Oh, no, well, they're not needed, sir. They're not needed, sir. Well, Miriam Bell, who works, at the Charlotte, North Carolina Postal Service, she's one of the union employees there, gave an interview right after Louis testified.
Does what you heard today from the Postmaster General square with what you've been seeing on the ground?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Explain that.
Well, here in Charlotte alone, we have had 7 mail processing machines removed.
Let me just ask you here, because the Postmaster General was asked about these machines, and I just want to play what he said.
Oh.
Will you be bringing back any mail sorting machines that have been removed since you've become Postmaster General? Will any of those come back?
There's no intention to do that. They're not needed, sir.
So you will not bring back any processors?
They're not needed, sir.
So are those needed? I mean,
Yes.
I assume removing them was the argument given was that it was obsolete. They weren't necessary.
Oh, no, absolutely not. These machines, if you consider just one of these delivery barcode sorter machines, it processes up to 39,000 pieces of mail per hour.
Oy.
If you averaged only a 16-hour processing day, and mind you, these plants run 24/7, 365. But if you take those 39 pieces of mail per hour, that comes up to 624,000 pieces of mail per day per machine. If you multiply that times 7 days, that is almost 4.5 million pieces of mail per week that cannot be processed per machine.
Per machine.
So why, I mean, what was the reason for removing them?
We were not told. The union is supposed to be informed of things like removal of machines and accessing of jobs, etc. I have reached out to the local plant manager, Eric Doloff. I have received 0 response. I have not gotten any type of notifications.
Okay, so that's the first lie that he told. They're not necessary, sir. Sorting machines are not necessary. Okay, postal workers are showing you how necessary they are. These machines work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And in just one mail plant in North Carolina, in Charlotte, one machine is responsible for 4 million pieces of mail that now have to be hand sorted. All right. And I'm telling you that the postal workers have been talking to the press. The customers, small business owners have been talking to the press. Here, a guy named Stephen Tu lives in Pasadena. Okay, he sends first-class packages all over the place through the Santa Clarita mail facility. Okay, because he's a small business guy. He sells baby clothing and accessories, baby accessories on eBay. Okay, this is what his business is. He said he has never, ever seen delays this long. 20 days now for packages that have to go outside Southern California. And he's been doing his eBay business for 15 years. So, hey, let's not believe our own eyes and ears. Let's not believe small business owners who are trying to sell, ship coffee beans to customers or to the union workers or to the postal carriers. No, let's believe Louis, who bought his way with no experience in the U.S. Postal Service, but experience in logistics. So he would know exactly how to hobble the Postal Service. But he bought his way into this. I mean, everything that Donald Trump had to offer to anybody was based on loyalty to Donald Trump or money given to Donald Trump. But Louis is sitting there telling you they're not needed, sir. They're not needed. All right. Then he was asked, are you still reducing overtime and the extra trips? Because sometimes it takes 2 hours to unload one of those big 18-wheelers full of mail. But the postal workers would always wait, even if it meant a 2-hour wait, and deliver the mail so that it didn't lose a day of mail delivery. 2-hour wait so they didn't miss an entire day of mail delivery. All right, so he has hacked overtime according to people who used to work 6 days a week. Now they're working 5 days a week. People who used to work 40-something hours a week, now reduced to 30-something hours a week. Okay, now he's saying, I didn't do anything.
Let me turn to your recent announcement that you made this week, that you are suspending some of the changes that you had made over the last month. I believe the statement's fairly vague, and it raises some additional questions. So I want to just be clear. These would be yes or no, just so we know exactly what was intended by that. Are you suspending your policy eliminating extra trips? Yes or no?
No. I did. First of all, the policy was not to eliminate extra trips. It was to mitigate extra trips.
Okay, so now to that. We're being told that you're limiting overtime, and this could possibly add to backlogs. Are you limiting overtime, or is that being suspended right now, and people will work overtime if necessary to move the mail out efficiently every single day?
Senator, we never eliminated overtime. That's
it's been curtailed significantly, is what I understand.
It has not been curtailed by me or the leadership team here.
Curtailed significantly. It's gone down. It's been limited. Will you commit to sending?
Since I've been here, we've spent $700 million on overtime. Overtime runs at a 13% rate before I got here, and it runs at a 13% rate now.
Okay, that's another lie. That is a lie, okay? Because if you talk to some postal carriers, they will tell you that they were working 6 days a week, and they were struggling to keep up with the volume of packages because of the online shopping that is going on during COVID. Okay. And the mail carriers also have been talking to the press. Overtime, they say, has been restricted. It was restricted 2 months ago. He started in June. It's now August. And workers have seen their schedules cut back to 5 days a week instead of 6 days a week. And within days, their particular offices were in complete and utter chaos. Within days, mail was backed up. Within days of cutting the overtime.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844.
All right, this is Senator Jackie Rosen from Nevada. The previous senator was Senator Gary Peters from Michigan, who was questioning Louis.
Did you conduct any specific analysis on how your changes would impact seniors? Yes or no, sir?
So, ma'am, the policy changes that I...
Yes or no, sir?
The policy changes that I embarked upon were not the ones that you identified in your...
So you didn't do any analysis to see how seniors would be impacted. Okay, let's move on. Did you do an analysis to see how veterans might be impacted, knowing that so many of our postal workers are veterans, we employ so many veterans, that they aren't getting their medication and that they rely on 80%. Did you do a specific analysis to see how veterans would be impacted?
The only change that I made, ma'am, was that the trucks leave on time. Theoretically, everyone should have got their mail faster.
So can you look me in the eye and all the Nevada veterans in the eye, all the Nevada seniors in the eye, and tell us that you will not continue in the policies in the future that you know that will harm my seniors, my veterans here in Nevada, and all of our seniors and veterans across this nation? Can you look us in the eye and commit to being sure that they have on-time delivery?
Well, I'm working towards on-time delivery, ma'am. Yes, I can commit to that.
Thank you. And so did you do any analysis about the fees if mail is late, the late fees that people would get when they paid their rent or their car payment or their utility bill if the mail is slowed down, and the impact that the charges and those fees would have on working families? Is there any analysis about the impact of late delivery by you on that, sir? Yes or no, please?
The analysis that we did was that if we moved the mail on schedule, that all late deliveries would have been improved.
He did no analysis, and we know that because in the next portion of Senator Jackie Rosen's question, she asked if he would commit to showing her his analysis about how veterans would have their medications delayed when you cut overtime, which he denies he did, or when you refuse to let them wait for the trucks to really be unloaded, even if you had to wait a couple of hours so you wouldn't miss a day, or whether, taking somebody from 6 days a week down to 5 days a week, or taking the sorting machines, which each machine, we now know, sorts about 4 million pieces of mail in Charlotte, North Carolina, each machine per week. his analysis showed that it would not have any impact on the veterans who are now saying they're not getting their medication, on people who are getting their bills late and then getting hit with late fees because they didn't get the bill on time to pay it on time. Obviously, fruit that's shipped through the mail is some of these postal service offices are just full of flies and gnats because the fruit is rotting. People have told that, they always waited for the trucks. Here's a man who, Kenny Diaz, he works at the post office in Tehachapi. I'm probably butchering the name of your town in California. But he said in 9 years of being on the job, he has never seen what he's seeing in his particular office. He's a postal clerk, okay? He says he sees plastic tubs full of mail that should have gone out for delivery sitting there because they weren't allowed to wait for the truck to completely unload. And so usually if the unloading was, a little behind, the last driver of the day would wait and pick up the mail, pick up every bill, every package, every letter. He said, quote, "They waited. We always waited. Our number one priority is getting the mail where it has to go. We would rather delay the truck by 2 hours than delay the mail by a whole day." And he said, now the truck drivers have been told to leave on time, regardless of whether or not all the outgoing mail is actually on the truck, which means the mail is arriving late to the next location. And that means it'll be delayed at the next. That's what's causing all the. Okay, so Senator Jackie Rosen said, will you commit to giving me your analysis?
The analysis we did would show that we would improve service to every constituent.
So that's great. So can you provide me by this Sunday, if I understand you correctly, you have an analysis that will show that this should have improved it, although we are finding out through thousands and thousands of contacts to our office, to our connections, that it has not been the case. So this is frankly unacceptable, and I would like to see the analysis that this was based on to our offices by this Sunday. Can you commit to that, sir?
No, ma'am.
No, I can't. No, I'm not going to give you any information. I'm not going to give you. Now, here's the sick thing. I mean, and this is why this is, well, first of all, everybody loves the mail. I mean, I know of no one that doesn't love the mail. I know of no one that doesn't love getting something in the mail, a package, a letter, a birthday card, fruit. Everyone loves the mail. But here's the real important thing. The mail is a constitutionally created entity. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7 of the United States Constitution empowers Congress to create and maintain post offices and postal roads. The Congress of the United States has constitutional authority over mail. And Donald Trump couldn't care less. Louis DeJoy couldn't care less. Now, there are other things that the government does that are not in the Constitution, but that people have come to rely on, like Social Security and Medicare. And those things Donald Trump is looking to get rid of as well. However, the mail is constitutionally mandated. And this man, Louis, who bought this position so he could destroy the logistics that work so freaking flawlessly every single day in this country, in big cities where apartment buildings are 52 stories high and have thousands of apartments in them, and to the forest-flung reaches of rural America, from the Aleutian Islands in Alaska to servicemen in Guam to haulers in Kentucky and southern Ohio. The mail gets there. Your check gets there. Your packages get there in a timely, cost-effective way. This man, wants to privatize it. This man sees an opportunity to destroy it, say it doesn't work, and upend the United States constitutionally provided mail service. That is such an easy way to show you that Donald Trump hates the Constitution.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
For close to 4 years now, he has shown no interest in putting in the work. No interest in finding common ground. No interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends. No interest in treating the presidency as anything but one more reality show that he can use to get the attention he craves. Donald Trump hasn't grown into the job because he can't. And the consequences of that failure are severe. 170,000 Americans dead. Millions of jobs gone, while those at the top taken more than ever. Our worst impulses unleashed. Our proud reputation around the world badly diminished. And our democratic institutions threatened like never before.
The post office. The freaking post office he's after. All right, Brother David.
Sister,
yes.
When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Thank you, Maya.
For the last 4 nightmares, it can't happen here, but it is yours. It and its enablers have shown us what they are.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 4 glorious, authentic nights, the Democratic National Committee showed us not only what the Democratic Party is circa 2020, it showed us who and what America is circa 2020.
You liked it.
And I could go on. We don't have time for all the high points, from Bernie's call for of unity to the greatest First Lady since Eleanor's turning its own words on it, to, oh my heavens, the virtual roll call, which should be standard operating procedure for every presidential convention from here on out, to the next great First Lady, Dr. Jill, in an empty classroom, to the fulcrum night, which was the women in 44, to last night when Pop, Uncle Joe No Mo, Pop delivered the address of his and our lives and showed us who America can and must yet be.
Yeah.
This is the reason I always entreat the chat room and the streaming platform people to ask 10 people who don't listen to go, etc., because that's how we do it. Little gestures. It's why your caller last week, oh my Lord, who had the brilliant idea of asking young people who want to get involved to volunteer to be poll workers.
Yes.
It's why I encourage anyone in my immediate here, take it to local government about the post office. Take it to state government about the post office. Because it's an assault, and it's going to be a battle, as you well know, and I well know, but it's a battle that we can and will and must win.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. It's nothing simple about it, but it's basic, and it's authentic, and it's who we are.
And it's possible. It's all possible.
Possibilities, the word.
You know, it's possible that we lose our freedom. It's possible that we gain our freedom. It's possible that we lose the post office. It's possible that we keep the post office. It's possible that the Constitution lives and breathes and grows and becomes more inclusive and more perfect. Yes. And it's also possible that it just disappears and has absolutely no meaning in our lives ever again. That's where we are.
That's exactly where we are. I said some time back, it's either Cormac McCarthy's The Road, where everything ends, or it's Brave New World, where we're all heading towards the same better island together. And it's up to us. We are the lever of government. We always have been. And I'm sorry, my faith is still in us.
No, I just want to say that when Ronald Reagan stood up and said government isn't the solution, government is the problem, you have to understand the government are the people. We are the government. And so from the beginning of this undoing of things like the Postal Service, things like freedom of speech, things like
education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
This Republican Party has been attacking the people because they've been attacking our government, which is us. It's us.
It's all true, Randy. Biden-Harris 2020, Bring Back Better 2020, We the People 2020.
I don't know.
Gorgeous girdles for everyone.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Tom in Florida?
Hey, it's Darlene's grandpa.
Oh,
Remember
hey.
Darlene?
Yes. How is she?
She's actually better than she was. She was attacked.
What?
My doctor in a pharmacy donates face masks, and on the weekends we go out and hand them out for free to these little country stores where nobody wears a face mask. Well, some redneck called her a frickin' Democrat hippie and smacked the box of things and knocked her on the ground.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I ran over to make sure she was okay. I went over and dealt with him. He won't be smacking little girls for a while.
He hit her? He literally smacked her?
He smacked her hand, knocked the box out of her hand hard enough to knock her down on the concrete.
Oh, my God. That's horrifying.
But check this out. She got home, went straight to the computer, because this guy had a Don't Tread on Me T-shirt. Yeah. So she went home. She's a magician on a computer. She brought up the logo and changed it. Looked perfect. Put a mask on the snake and put in there, Don't Cough on Me.
I like this girl.
Yeah. And it's what she would love to do, because we're going to print some T-shirts. And like I said, all the sales of things we do, we donate to Free Speech TV. I'd rather donate to you. I don't know if I can donate money straight to you. But what she really would love to do is send you one of the T-shirts.
Oh, I would love to have one. So tell her to go on randirhodes.com and and then click on contact us, and there's a address there.
Okay, great. Yeah,
I would love it.
Yeah, she thinks a lot of you and listens every day.
I know she does. Shout out to you. What? So, is she okay?
Yeah, just a 14-year-old.
Just shaking up, yeah.
Yeah, just scraped her knee a little bit.
Freaking bullies, man. Bullies, all bullies. Just,
Yeah, I went over to the guy, and I just almost lost it completely. I used to be special forces, so I could put a booger in his nose.
Well, we can do it all with a paperclip, actually. Those of us in the military. Patrick in California.
Will there be demonic hobbits stealing your mail-in ballots and giving them to Sauron? Will there be coffee? Will there be donuts? Will there be coffee and donuts? Will there be narwhals? Will there be narwhals? Oh, my God, this guy never stops. It's exhausting.
QAnon. They like me, and is it such a bad thing? Is it so bad? Is it really bad? Because I don't think it's bad.
I'm definitely going to have to procure some high-quality psychedelics for next week's Geschichte show of the Republican convention.
What do you think?
Oh, my God, is that Mike Pence and Donald Trump smearing goat feces all over each other's naked torsos and setting each other's hair on fire, or is it just the shrooms?
It's Mika
It must
Ponce.
be the shrooms.
Mika Ponce.
I've seen some pretty, disturbing Democratic conventions in the past. I remember everybody in a convention hall doing the Macarena, but this week was the most flawless political convention I think I've ever seen. It was run like a David Bowie or Peter Gabriel concert. It was pristine. I cried at certain points because I'm thinking about everything we've gone through, and those of us in the central coast of California, we have fires north and south and east of us in Salinas, Big Sur, and Santa Cruz. It's just heartbreaking. I'm like 1 degree of separation away from knowing somebody who lost everything, and people around this whole country have lost everything, and I'm encouraged.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged.
I am too. But, next week's Hate Fest is going to be one for the record books. I'm telling you, prepare yourself.
That's why I'm getting shrooms.
Oh, my God. I'm telling you, do what you got to do, because they're going to start showing violence in cities and insisting that we're lawless people and that white supremacists have a place in their heart, and QAnon is just a fuzzy bunch of people fighting pedophiles who are running this country or some such crap. It's going to be bizarro world. Bizarre. And like I said, who's going to be the entertainment? Who would show it? I'm guessing Scott Baio, Kid Rock. He's older than me. Okay, Grandpa, Kid Rock. Who else? Toby Keith might show. I don't know. I think maybe he has a little bit too much to lose at this point. I don't know. Who else? Who else would show up? Grandpa Ted Nugent. This is going to be freaky and bad. Anyway, I thought this week was amazing. I loved it. I think we should have all of our conventions this way. I do. Roll call should never take more than 45 minutes, ever again. I loved it, and I thought Joe Biden knocked it out of the park last night. It was flawed. Even Rush Limbaugh, he had to accuse Biden of cheating it. He thought it was live, Rush. You douche. Have a good weekend.